I asked my wife, she wanted to come tonight, and she said, how long are you talking? And I said, well, probably till 9. And she said, oh, I'll stay home. So that was my vote of confidence. Well, I do enjoy turning eggs, and I've enjoyed it for a long time, kind of dabbled with it and that sort of thing. But I found that it's universal. You can find them all over the world if you're fortunate enough to go there. My daughter went to Africa and brought this one back out of Blackwood to kind of add to the collection. And then I was in Germany, and there were these two, they told me to hold still. In Germany, we had these two that had been carved. They're pine or basswood, something like that. They had been carved. And then in Italy, a piece of olive, which if you ever get a chance to turn any olive, I think it's a good experience for your nose, everything. So it's good wood and beautiful grain. But anyway, these are ones that I picked up because I became interested, and I began turning in high school, way back, and then in about 2005, my brother retired and bought a new lathe, and it offered me his second lathe, and that got me re-going in wood turning and restarted. So I started, and it wasn't too long that we had some pretty severe catches, and realized I didn't know much about it. And we talked, and he said, well, let's go down to Craft Supply and take a class. And we called down there and described our experience, and they said, yeah, you should start in the beginner's class. And so we did, and it was really a good move. Spent a week, 40 hours plus, turning, and one of the projects was an egg. So that's where I first started turning eggs, and enjoyed it then and enjoy it now. I'm going to pass around a dozen eggs here. And these are various woods. I don't even necessarily know what they all are. I'm close. I hope I don't squeak there. And those are chicken-sized eggs. When we were first turning eggs down there in Provo, Utah, the instructor, Eric DeHeer, said, you know, get a dozen eggs and look at them. They're not all the same. And he said, so don't worry about it being a certain exact dimension, because that's not nature. You know, get it close. Well, how do you get it close? He came up with this. This was, I'll do it that way so it's a little more visible. This was the standard type of template, you might say. And I'll show you how we use that. But in it, you have the diameter that you're trying to achieve, you have the length, and you have the maximum diameter located. So we have our diameter here, maximum diameter, we have the length on the edge, and then on this end, I have my maximum diameter and my left side. And that'll make sense later. May not now. But I have, this is, I have different ones for different sizes. This is a medium. That's a small. This is my large. I'll put them like that. I guess I have to look down. But a 2-inch, a 1 5/8, and this is the jumbo at 2 1/8. So you don't change too much in diameter, really, but they all function about the same. You can tell I just grabbed scrapped wood, punched a hole with a Forstner bit to get the diameters, so they're common sizes, and then the rest of it is determined by your eye and also by this gadget. I got this idea from, well, initially from turning that first egg, because they talk about the golden mean and that type of thing. And it turns out if you take this device, you can get the relationship as it changes size between these two points. And the ratio between here and here is 1 to 1.618. 1.8, yep. So that somehow is has some click with our brain, and we tend to like that size. They say a business card is that width and that length, and people like that, I guess. Our bowls might have, diameter to height. We do all kinds of different things and forget this rule, but it does show up in nature quite a bit. This is made by a guy you may have seen online. His name is Eddie Castellan. He goes by Captain Eddie. And it's worth it just to see him present himself on YouTube. But yeah, Captain Eddie has plans for this thing, so you can just go there, and they're called his Phi calendars. And Captain Eddie Castellan of Louisiana, Big Guy Productions, and it's entertaining. So I'll have that here if you want to write his website down. I also have these. I have about half dozen of these sheets here that have the sizes and specifics on those templates. So if you want that, that's not showing up very well on my screen, but anyway, there's patterns here for those templates. Now, those were the medium-sized eggs. These are the large to jumbos, and it's okay to pick them up, okay? I don't like it when people drop them, but that's part of the chance you take. I would say pick them up. And on this floor, it's okay. They're pretty hard, because you can't really, you can't eat them, so you can feel them, and that's different than just looking at them. Looking is kind of boring. Yeah, you feel this one here. Feels like it's empty. Is redwood, very different than the one you have in your hand, which is ironwood. Density, very, very different. And this one, you can tell it's the redwood because all the fingernails are marking it all up. That's all right. It's just a wooden egg. We can make more. I think that's one of the things that I like about turning eggs is it's a simple project, it's an easy project. You don't need to have cool, super duper woods. You can use scraps from anything. You guys bought enough for many dozen eggs over here, just tonight alone. And there's some good woods in there. You're going to have great scraps, and what are you going to do with them? You probably come sell them back, but this is about all you need. This is figured maple, and this one's myrtle wood. You don't need a whole lot, a couple inches in diameter. Remember, the small ones are less than 2 inches. The big ones are barely over 2 inches. So, 2 by 4 is pretty good. Now, the other thing I like about this is you can do this on any lathe. Using these devices, which are on sale back there, you can have a glue block attached to a spindle on a mini lathe, and this works just fine on a mini lathe. And then you can put, this was a scrap piece, literally out of a scrap box at the local high school where I volunteer, and turn something, see what, it was just junk, so why not glue it on and see what it looks like. If you don't like it, throw it away. You haven't invested anything but a few minutes. And you can do that during just about any commercial these days. You can make a wine stopper out of an egg if you want. It's just kind of a universal design. You could make ornaments, certainly, like some of those lighter woods. The ornaments would be fine, and nothing to it. So how do we do it? How many have turned eggs before? I may be lots of you. Okay, so how many? Brad, I know, said he turns or has turned eggs between centers. How many center turners? Jim, yeah, okay. And with chucks? A few with chucks, okay. That's where, when I was getting ready for this, I tried it different ways, and man, putting it in the chuck saved me so much time. I figured I wouldn't bore you with my slowness. When I say chucks, these are jam chucks, but that's not the way I'm talking about. I'm putting it into a 4-jaw chuck. And this happens to be a robust chuck that I got at Portland. And I noticed they're in a lot of the catalogs now and so on. I'm just going to put it up like that for now. But put it on like that. This is a kind of a super jumbo, and so I had to make a super jumbo jam chuck to go with it. But you put it on there, turn it to your shape. Now, again, proportion is the deal. So when I said, okay, that's not going to work, so I don't have a pattern for that one. What I had to do then is determine overall length, diameter, and then what I do, taking my little handy-dandy Captain Eddie gadget, I'll measure, and this distance is actually this long, the long point right here. So I would determine the diameter of this thing at its maximum, and then I would take the short distance to make the left side towards the chuck here. Okay, and so this side is longer. How much longer? Well, that's, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I did a little playing around with the calculator, and I never got a ratio that was real stable here between these two. It was more about the diameter and this left side. So that's eggs for you. Okay, we'll get to turning. So this one already done, you can see how you end up mounting it. Then to sand, you do, the way I was doing it is as much sanding as I could right here, then part it off and put a jam chuck in here, jam it in. And, that's not holding it all now. One of these changed size on me. This used to just fit perfectly tight. So I found through, again, preparing that I had to do this right away. Well, let's do it. Why not? So if I put the jam chuck in, and give that a spin. Of course, I need to have something else here to clear the deck. It's always interesting to use a different blade. Get it to function like the one at home. Now, tools. I don't know if you can see this. This is the way I organize my tools at home. I just have these crates with some PVC pipe in it, and I drop my tools in rows. the scrapers in one row, the gouges in another, skews in another, some parting tools mixed in the middle, banana tool over here, and some of Schweitzer's stuff doesn't really fit, but I know where it is. Then I've got a mag strip here so I can keep track of some of these tools that I didn't put all on here. Oop, dropped that one. So that I can find those hopefully when I need them. And then I need to have this little Hummer, one of Jimmy's tools, and away we go. So what I'm using is one of Jimmy's negative rake scrapers and putting it on in here. Since that did fit before, it shouldn't take much more than that to make it fit now. Not quite. I mean, it's almost there. You need to sort of mirror the shape there, and you have to be pretty close, but not perfect. And the part that you're trying to grip is up fairly close to that maximum point. So on either end, because I need to be able to turn it around and do that end as well. But I don't want to go too deep. You often can find that there's burnish marks from this, and those burnish marks then, yeah, that's very close but not quite. And you can hand burnish it like that and see where it's dragging, where you need to go just a little deeper, and then adjust. Something a little hard pounding away midway through this chuck. Not there yet. And what I would do if I got frustrated is I'd bring this tailstock up, trim this thing off, and then fiddle with it later. And that's probably a reasonable thing to do. But let's go one more time, just for fun. We're close. And I know I'm deep enough. You know, I'm all the way down here, for heaven's sakes. And it's only going in that far, so I got to have another 1/4 inch at least. I'm not hitting the bottom. Actually, this worked like a charm a couple days ago, and then didn't. And then I returned it, and then tonight, of course, it didn't. But, you know, we're in there now well enough for sanding, because your sanding pressure is going to be inward as well. And if I really kind of thump, well, I'd probably have to fiddle with it a little more to get that perfect. But we just turn this off and, oh no, sure. Now it won't come out. Yeah, that happens. Well, okay. The other thing that I thought we would do is simply turn an egg. Now you can see where we're going with it and so on. That's a nice odd piece. Ooh. I'll try this one. Now I liked Jim's Lee Valley tool there that made a nice centered point, but you're going to make it round anyway, and you're going to center it. So unless you're really concerned that you're maximizing your wood, then I don't worry about it. And I'll start out between centers. Now I know I brought, oh, yeah, I'm not home. And okay, so this is a step drive that I can put in here and not have to take the chuck off, because that's frustrating to take it off and on and off and on and off and on many times. So just put this little step drive on. I don't even remember where I got those, but anyway. Yes.
That step drive, is that specific to that chuck, or is that universal?
No, that's universal. I use it on my one-way stronghold chuck, and that's what I bought it for, so that I didn't have to fiddle all the time. And you can use it on a 2-inch. This is Record Power is an English company, and so they're metric, right, John? Anyway, it looks like he's gone. But anyway, they're metric, and it's 40 millimeters, which is just under 2 inches.
They'll fit on most number 2 with 450 millimeter or 2-inch jaws.
Yeah, but this is sub 2, so I kind of like it, actually. I've been pleased with it, and then it gives me, I can leave my 3-inch jaws on the stronghold and that type of thing. Okay. Yeah, everyone does things a little differently to do the same job. And, I guess that's what kind of makes this interesting. A lot of different ways to do this. Here we go. All right, so of course just turn it around. Then we're going to put a tenon on here, and then we can get rolling. Step drives are safer because you can, you can down and save. This should be. All right. I found that I have three different roughing gouges, and this was the last one I bought. I bought it from Dave Schweitzer, and I thought, is that? He said, you'll like it. And I'm going, yeah, right. I do. I use it more than the others, because anything small like this, a larger roughing gouge, it seems awkward, and you don't need it. So I like to, Dave makes good tools, and Jimmy. So we're just going to go around and see what size they can make. Yeah, I think we're still over 2 inches. And I can see with this step drive, I mean, I can see where I'm going there. I've got, you know, this much gap in my jaw. And right now that would probably, I'd have to expand it. So I know I've got enough to do a tenon right there. Yeah. No. One thing I've done is if it's a scraping tool, I paint it a certain color. In this case, my scraping tools are green. And then I don't have to see the tips. I just look down my row here, and I usually have written on the top of them what it is. So this is a Bedan tool, which I dearly love. I wasn't sure that I would. I bought it on a recommendation, and that person, again, didn't steer me wrong. It's very nice for doing tenons, and as Jim explained last month, lots of different things. That's probably all we need. What I need to do is get some throw in this thing so I can. All right, now here's where we save a little time with this type of a chuck. I'll pass this around if you've never seen them before. This is the mini version, so you can get in really tight on things and not have a big piece. And they make big ones too that will really hold. Okay. So back at it. Yeah, see, I get lots of room there. And I kind of like to run this up, lock it in, and then tighten when I've got it really jammed up there. Because that first time you set your jaw in there, even if you have it nice and square and everything, usually you compress a little bit and it's going to go there the next time. You can often feel that. So there we go. There's our egg. Anyone want to guess what size is that one? Small, medium, large, jumbo? Someone said medium. Nope. Large? Pretty much a large. Okay? Why don't I... These are so pitiful that I hate to pass them around. They're almost embarrassing. They work for me, but they're kind of pitiful. What I'll do is I'll pass around a couple of these sheets, and you can see the dimensions more clearly on that, and I'll just pass that around with it. You can take a picture of it with your phone, or you can not. There's a couple sheets there, and I have a couple more if someone thinks they'll use it. Go ahead and take it. We could make more. And it's, I like the way Jim explained it last week. You know, that's the beauty of the club, is you learn maybe a little bit here and a little bit there. Price is right. Simply the way that he looks down over his tool rest to look at the far away and see that they're parallel. I thought, oh, that's good. I always just kind of, winged it. And, I wanted to get it parallel, but I didn't have a guide. And simply that little tip of, look and see the parallel against this way over here is great. So, we're good to go there. And we have our maximum diameter. We need to have a length. I'll give you, what I like to do is this. I go, all right, that's waste. This is junk over here. I'm going to get rid of that. because I've compressed the wood with my tailstock. I know I've got a hole in it, and plus I've messed up a bunch of fibers past that, so I know I want to cut that off anyway. I got plenty of wood, and so I'm going to mark that. That's going to go away. My distance, I just lay it out here. Okay, if I do that, I will have something that will ultimately look like an egg. But as I said, now if this is the diameter, what can I do this? How's that? Okay, if that's the diameter, this distance is where center is. Okay, so diameter and center. Now, I shouldn't say center. That's maximum diameter. That's going to be the thickest diameter on this piece of wood. I'm going to taper this end. That's going to be the fat end of the edge. So now on this one, you know, I'm going this way. Fat end here, shorter distance. This turns out to be longer distance. The number I usually got was 1.4. So this is 1.4 times larger than that in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases, it could be different than that. And it's still going to look like an egg. Look at, here's a small jam chuck with a ebony or blackwood egg in it. And that one is long. You know, it's quite elongated as compared to maybe a chubby one. Yeah, this one's more pear-shaped. But if you gave that to someone and said, well, what's that? Well, it's an egg. You know, so it's not critical is what I'm saying. I think you can get all hung up on, and even the YouTube videos say, here's how to form the perfect egg. And they have templates and you just crank them out, you know. Why? That's not what chickens do. All right, here we go. I'm gonna turn. I was turning around 800. I'll turn. There's 900. How's that? We'll see what happens. So that's the Bedan tool, and this wood is being very nice to me tonight. I like it. It's a lot faster than a parting tool. Where I can find it. A lot faster than a parting tool, and I think more forgiving. It's just a wonderful tool. I like it. It doesn't bother.